Rick and Morty Season 5 has been rather hit or miss. It started really strong with two really fun out there episodes, with Mort Dinner Rick Andre, where Rick hosted dinner for his nemesis Mr. Nimbus, and Episode 2's Mortipicity, gee that's hard to pronounce, where the Smith family are being hunted by other versions of themselves, fearing that they're clones. It's still very much classic Rick and Morty for the most part. Seriously out there premises that you know came up after a few drinks in the writer's room with a wacky character or two, and the smallest of plot progression, if any, at all in under 22 or so minutes. When it works, it really works. But before we jump into the beans of the video, I just wanted to add that 98.9% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. If you do enjoy this video, make sure to smash subscribe, notifications, all that, but back to the regular scheduled programming. This video is going to be talking about the final run of episodes 8, 9, and 10 in Season 5. But I have to talk about the contrast in this season to really demonstrate why these episodes worked so well. Season 5, more than any other season of Rick and Morty, has really had those episodes that just missed the mark completely. To follow what I said in the introduction, with an out there premise, a wacky character or so, but a better way to explain it would be to explain how the writers actually write the show, to then point to where my issues then kind of start. Dan Harmon and his writers room use something called the story circle to write their episodes for the show.
You've got a character that you can identify with that has some kind of need, wish, incompletion, causes them to go across a threshold where the story changes direction. They go down a road of trials, searching for something. They find it, whether they like it or not. It kind of kicks their ass, and they come back to the world they started in, having changed.
And this formula works for nearly any type of story, most notably Star Wars uses it. It's a simple, easy way to understand the hero's journey. The problems arise for me where the need in the episode is either quite weak or is a hard concept to kind of accept, which means all the jokes that tie into that need don't land as well as they could have. In the episode of Rick Convenient More, Alison Brie plays a version of Captain Planet that falls in love with Morty. For me, this episode didn't quite work because it feels like a retread of other episodes where Morty's love interest brings him pain in nearly identical fashion. And unlike in the premiere with Jessica, it didn't add anything to the character of Morty. So the laughs around their heroine version of Captain Planet didn't land as hard to me compared to an episode where Rick and Jerry have to keep a bunch of people from hell entertained to not let all of Earth be destroyed. A better example is the following episode, Rick Dependent Spray, where the big need in the episode is Morty's, with his need of trying to hide his sexual addictiveness that helped create the entire premise of the horse semen-based antagonists. That's simplified but should get the message across well. The laughs in the episode landed quite well for me, but felt quite forced due to the leap in logic that Rick just has to not bother checking of the vat because Morty insisted. It's here hopefully you can see how a weak need and the lack of overall narrative can just lead to episodes feeling a little monotonous and not having the same punch as our favourites. So after a few episodes like that, the conception around Season 5 had been quite poor. And the talk amongst content creators and fans was mostly around the contract with Adult Swim, with the fear that the overabundance of more Rick and Morty being its downfall. In my opinion, I don't think this is the case. And that is where episode 8, 9, 10 come into play. And due to the way they write the episodes, it's clear to me at least, it isn't by fluke or by chance. The formula they use allows them to set what type of episodes and stories they want to tell. Episode 8 tells a story really direct and personal about Bird Person and his relationship to Rick. What the episode is really diving into is meaningful and allows for the humor to really flow naturally. Going through Bird Person's memories allowed for some seriously funny sequences, but also enriching the backstory for the pair. It's nothing game changing, but for everything here, it extends onward, and for me, when Rick and Morty is doing shit like this, it's when I enjoy it the most. It's what I watch the show for, and it pains me to know that through the show's writing, it's really not what the writers really want to cover at all.
Rick, let's have dinner with the Morty president.
Morty, the idea was to get back to simple adventures. The Citadel runs on canon.
Okay. I guess things really are just going right back to how they were.
But they obviously taken the time to flesh it all out and not make it an afterthought, at least enough to fool me. This isn't a comment on what the writers should be covering in their own show, but with 80 plus episodes on the contract to go, or whatever that episode number is, where do the writers plan to take the show? The average sitcom doesn't evolve its narrative or its characters as much as this show does, and I don't think 80 plus episodes of shenanigans of Morty being horny and Rick being arrogant will be enough to sustain an entire audience. So when episode 9 only goes harder into this notion of long form storytelling, it wasn't quite a surprise, but at least was happy to see it. Rick in the latter half of the season is on a mission of self-discovery, leading to the breakup of the classic pair. And this episode, while being funny, with Rick now taking on two crows as sidekicks, it also does an amazingly well in establishing believable wants and needs that aren't too humorous in nature, like wanting to have all the Power Ranger suits or Voltron suits, whatever those were, among not wanting to be outed for having a strong masturbation addiction. Rick goes from the last episode wanting to attempting to save his best friend, to this episode having the pair wanting to solidify their side of the argument about partnership. It's something that occurred to me while I was going over the way they write the show, but it just seems funny to me that the most humorous episodes and the memorable ones are the ones that are deeper and introspective types of episodes.
No!
Wow, this sauce is fucking amazing. You said it was promoting a movie?
Even Pickle Rick has a meaningful inside look at the relationship between the entire family and the premise of Rick turning himself into a fucking pickle.
I turned myself into a pickle, Morty! Boom! Big reveal, I'm a pickle!
And I'm not gonna lie, when the anime intro kicked in for episode 10, I thought the finale was going to be a gimmick episode, and it took me a while for me to see what they were actually going with. But in classic Rick and Morty fashion, most of this was a facade. Salad dressing for what was to come. For a show with so much formula, it's nice to be able to keep me on my toes while watching. And it was odd to see Stan Lee Rick come on screen and give viewers a direct nod to the camera of when to go back to for season 1, but I still did it. And I began to find out how intricate their web of canon is. Considering there's only a few times every few seasons they do it, it wasn't all too hard to keep track of loose ends, but I went over the smallest of details to see just how they contrast Rick from season 1 to 5. It's stuff like this that I really enjoy, when the show is able to mix in humor with its galaxy-wide narrative.
You're a perfect impenetrable suit of human armor, Morty, because you're as dumb as I am smart, which is why when I say, shut up, it's really good advice. From where I sit, Morty, that's the best deal on the table. I don't have a real plan. Thanks, pal. I'm glad you ignored my advice.
The second half of this episode is just a completely different beast, almost putting a full 180 on that initial idea of an anime-based episode. It's something that the Voltron episode that really just failed for me, like just that concept. Rick, during these sequences, I just have to feel it's the writers talking to the audience directly. Every single line of dialogue is just so on the nose for how Rick is meant to feel about his own backstory and how he prefers to go on certain types of adventures.
You just lie to me about everything?
Can't we just sneak through the cave base? We turned a new leaf, Morty. We're back to simple adventures.
It's not a new leaf until you tell me everything.
Is there a balance to this? A world where you can have one-off fun adventures about evil people selling items that make you mentally handicapped?
Morty, I'm not disparaging the differently abled. I'm stating the fact that if I had used this microscope, it would have made me mentally retarded.
Okay, yeah, but I don't think it's about logic, Rick. I think the word has just become a symbolic issue for powerful groups that feel like they're doing the right thing.
Well, that's retarded.
This is an answer for much, much more intelligent writers and speakers in the space, I think. Going over the Reddit page and scrolling through Twitter has let me know this isn't an easy question to solve, or if it's one that is even an issue to begin with. The only thing I know is it's a show I love and probably will continue to love. The last 3 episodes were really fun and engaging television, so if you haven't seen it, I do recommend. So that's the end to another video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, and give me your thoughts on the video down in the comment section down below. But I do have a question. What type of Rick and Morty do you guys prefer? Do you guys like the more one-off side episodes, the little fun ones like Mr. Meeseeks, or do you like the more canonical ones, the more serialized episodes? Because I'm really curious if I'm alone in my thinking or what your thoughts are. Like I said, like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.